Live. Welcome to a special show where we're talking to my good friend, Mr. Troy Francis, about his upcoming dating course. It's called The Edge. How you doing, Troy?
Very good, very good. You're looking sharp, man. As I was
Hey,
saying before we came on,
doing my best. Doing my best to look as good as possible.
jacket game on points. Good to
Yes.
see.
So we got this we got your course, the Edge dating course, and it's ending tonight at midnight, eh?
No, we're going to keep it open for just a little bit longer, especially
Mm,
for viewers of this. So we're going to keep it open until Sunday, basically. So
okay.
they've got a few days. They can still join through your link if they
Mhm.
would like to. So yeah, we're going to do that. We were nominally going to close it today, but we've decided to keep it open a little bit longer, just so that the hot dude army can get in. So
Mhm.
yeah, we're really excited about it. It's a course that I put together with James Tusk, and what we have learned working with hundreds of guys, training guys in dating out in the field. I mean, I'm out here in Warsaw at the moment. We're doing a boot camp with a bunch of guys this weekend, as we did last weekend, and as we have over a lot of the summer. And what we find is that if guys can get past the first hurdle, which is actually approaching a woman in the first place and having a conversation with her, right? That's the first thing. But if they can get past that, a lot of the time the guys are going in, their conversations are very bland, very beige. They're coming across as a bit boring, a bit normal. They're not really injecting any sexual spark into it. The girl's standing there kind of bored. Maybe she gives her phone number, maybe she doesn't. The guy texts her, she doesn't respond, or she messes him around and doesn't come on the date. Okay, because they're not building sexual attraction. They're not making her feel anything. Okay, and that's what the Edge is here to help compensate for, or rather to help repair. Because guys need to learn how to have edge in the dating marketplace. Otherwise, particularly in 2022, going into 2023, you're just going to get left behind.
I think a lot of guys are already left behind, right? We talked
Mm,
about this on the boat
yes,
where we were sailing down the Bosphorus, right?
indeed.
And I think pickup PUA, the age of PUA is dead and gone.
Yeah.
I don't do you think PUA works?
No, I don't think so. I think it was only ever about delivering value. I think because what is dating really? It's a value exchange. It's like I'm a guy, I've got this kind of value, I make this money, I look like a certain way, I'm a certain height. All of the different things, your attributes all added together into a bundle, and you're delivering that to the market. The market is the women that you're trying to attract. So you're going to the girl or to the woman, and you're saying, right, this is me, this is the value that I have. Her value is obviously her beauty, her age, her fertility, whatever else it is, and it's a value exchange. And if you don't have value, then you're not going to get that girl. If you don't
Right.
have sufficient value for her as she perceives it in the market, you're not going to get that girl. Now, in the past, it might have been possible to fake value to some extent. These days, with Instagram and the visibility of the internet and social media in general, it's not possible to fake value in the same way as you could before.
And that's just always been my thing. It's just like just be the man. Just money muscles
Yeah.
game frame. I was doing money muscles game frame before it was like the most popular saying in the red pill community, you know?
Yes. Well, you invented it, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I was living it first. When I was what I was doing? I used to say this all the time. I was working at Sears. Sears is a department store chain in America.
Yeah.
It's kinda like Macy's,
Mm.
and, I was 21 at the time, and I said, all we need to do in life as men is make money, make muscles." That's all we say at Sears, like, "Well, make money, make muscles." Me and my buddy, Brian Diaz, right?
Mm.
And, I was just always doing that. I was going to the gym consistently. I've never been, like, super jacked. I don't think you have either, right?
No, well, I mean, you've seen the chassis in real life, man. I mean, I'm working harder at the moment on it though. I really am. I'm going to catch up to you guys.
No. The point I'm trying to make is that, like, you've never been, like, so super jacked, but you've had an above average sex life, like, without
Yeah,
shedding.
absolutely, absolutely, and that's a misconception because, like, for example, right now we've got a student who is very jacked,
Mhm,
and I'm not going to obviously anonymity, not going to compromise that, but
mhm,
he got 20 phone numbers over the last few days in
mhm,
Poland,
mhm,
and he's had no dates and not even really
mhm,
any responses to
mm,
getting those numbers. So there must be something missing because he's a decent looking guy
mhm.
and he's jacked and he's getting these phone numbers, but the girls aren't responding to him. So why is that happening?
You
Particularly
can't
in a
even,
place like Poland, where really you know, if you're getting 20 phone numbers, you should be getting a few dates out of that. You should be getting 4 or 5 dates at least out of that.
He can't even pull a muscle, eh?
Exactly. So, you know, it just goes to show you need all of it, don't you? You need, money, muscles, yes, but game and frame, you know,
Absolutely.
and what we're teaching is comes under the umbrella of game.
Right. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And that's the thing, you just can't fake it. And really, it's at this point, I understand what you mean by edge. Like for you guys that are at home watching and you don't have any edge, edge is a guy that kind of comes to the room and just makes everybody just a little bit uncomfortable, but like not in a bad way. Just he takes the attention out of the room. He draws the attention. You know, you can't not notice him when he comes in there. You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm talking about when it comes to having this edge, yeah?
Yes.
Just double checking something. No, somebody says kicked from YouTube. No, we're not kicked.
Yes.
We're live. Okay. Yeah, you command presence, right? So listen, so what exactly are they going to get when they sign up for this course? Like, what are they going to do? Is this 12 weeks? Is it the transformation course? Like, is it what are we doing here?
It's a transformation course. So there's 15 pre-recorded videos that myself and James Tusk sat down and recorded earlier this year, talking about this stuff in great detail. So the videos themselves are each deep dives into different elements of this stuff, basically. So we go through everything from beginning with sort of what is edge in the first place and why is it essential? Why do nice guys finish last? You know, we all know the book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. Well, we go into, okay, so why does nice guy not work? Why is game not enough? And why do you need to show edge? Then we talk about guys who naturally have edge. So Leonardo DiCaprio is an obvious example, Brad Pitt in Fight Club, James Dean, Daniel Craig in James Bond, etc. And we talk about why this is important and why this is a learnable skill. Then we go into talking about masculine presence. And this is something that you talk about a lot, why masculinity is being eroded in the modern world and why it's important and why we need to get it back. And edge, really, I mean, we've branded it edge. We're talking about it in this way. But really, if you just went back to the 1970s or the 1950s and you looked at how guys acted before, they would have edge under this definition. All right. It's because we've all been softened out and we don't behave in the West anyway, in this way anymore. Okay. So it's really about reclaiming that in a sort of ethical way. Then we talk about inner game and how to make yourself invincible, because a lot of guys suffer with trauma. They suffer with, low self-esteem, poor ego,
self-esteem.
And all of that. And so we talk about that, and we talk about how to bolster yourself up and make yourself bulletproof as far as that's concerned. Then we talk about the bad boy stuff, the dark triad stuff, how to acquire that without losing your soul in the process. And then we go into the individual student's hero's journey. So what does the archetype look like for them? Okay, so how do they find their edge in a way that's congruent to them? Because what we're not saying is that everybody who takes this course has to come out and become Andrew Tate. We're not saying, right, shave your head and get some sunglasses and, become MLD or indeed Andrew Tate. It's not about that. It's about being congruent. Exactly. It's about being congruent to your own personality, right? So not every guy is the same. Guys look physically different. They're built differently in terms of their size, their chassis, their physique, whatever. So it's about, okay, so look at yourself. You've got to self-improve, but how can you bring out edge in a way that's not going to make you look like a buffoon, right? In a way that's congruent to you and your personality. And this is the bit where we're really going to be helping students on a more individual level, okay? Because how this works is you get into the course, you get all of the video footage as soon as you join the course, and then we put you into a WhatsApp chat. Now, the WhatsApp chat, myself and James are running that chat now. We've got over 40 guys in there already. We're onboarding more guys now as they're coming into the course. And within that chat, at the moment, everyone's just having a conversation, having some banter, discussing with each other, they're dating, what's going on. But we're going to be posting in that chat on a weekly basis missions for everybody to complete that refer back to the course. And that's going to go on for about the next 10 weeks. Okay, so there's going to be 10 weeks of missions that you have to complete, including approaching, but also some soul searching, looking deep into yourself, working out, okay, this is where I am now. This is where I want to get to. This is my strategy for getting there. And we're going to be offering support to everybody in the chat. in terms of how they can best accomplish that. We're also going to be doing Zoom webinars as well. The first Zoom webinar is going to be on Sunday. So guys getting into the course now before Sunday, the time's not confirmed yet, but we will let members of the group obviously know ASAP. It's going to be on Sunday, and we're going to basically explain the structure, get to know one another, and then we're going to be doing those Zoom webinars on a regular basis throughout the rest of the course. So that's really how it's going to work. Now, for the price that we're charging, really they're getting a lot of bang for their buck, because these days you can't get James Tusk anyway to get out of bed for less than, you know, 5K at least, or possibly
5 tabs of MDMA.
Exactly. So, so you're getting access to him, you're getting access to me, plus the support and the camaraderie of the group as well. And everybody in there just wants to get better. They understand that they're lacking in this particular area, and they want that sort of extra X factor, that special spice. So it's a really, already it's a really thriving community in there, actually. And we're looking forward to adding more guys in before the end of Sunday. Jason says, I've got the shaved head and the glasses. Exactly.
Shaved head and the glasses. Hey, here we go. Ready to roll. Yeah, man, I just think you're consistently putting out good stuff. This seems to be like the next evolution from the CAD Academy up into now the Edge. You say you have like over 50 people who have signed up so far?
We've got 50 people, yeah. We've got 40 of them are in the chat. We're onboarding more people, getting more people into the WhatsApp group as we go along. I mean, to be honest, we launched this as a fairly low key sort of a launch. Really, we weren't necessarily expecting to get huge numbers in. And I mean, in the big scheme of things, it's a reasonably intimate group. But we're quite pleased actually with the response to it so far. We've onboarded more guys than we necessarily thought we would by this point. And the people who are inside are very engaged because they recognise that this is important. Because they know this is. I mean, anybody can benefit from this, but you can particularly benefit if you're the kind of guy who's been consuming this kind of dating game content for a while, and you are actually going out and doing some approaches, but you're just not getting very good results, and you're wondering why. If that's you, then this really is for you, because I can almost guarantee, I can't guarantee 100%, but I can almost guarantee that the reason that you're not getting the results is you just don't have edge. You're going in, you're making approaches, but you're probably coming across as too much of a nice guy. You're probably coming across as a bit vanilla, a bit beige. And to be quite frank, the girls are just not, they're just not getting turned on by it. They're just like, yeah, this guy, whatever. I mean, he's probably a nice guy, but I'm just not really feeling it. And you need to spark attraction. This stuff is always initially it's about sparking attraction. And this is what this course will help you to do.
I like it. Do you talk about retaining women?
Not in the content so much, because this is really about the front end. This is about, okay, so how can I be attractive in order to bring them in the first place? It's certainly something that we will touch on if there's call for it within the WhatsApp group, and within, we can do something on Zoom about relationships and how to manage relationships of different kinds. It's an interesting point though, actually, because this stuff does play into it, because obviously having edge in a relationship is arguably even more important than having it when you're out of the club, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely an X factor in keeping the girl in regards to retention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, because I think, guys, it's one thing to like get some new pussy, right? But you want to keep it around. At least I do.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a low ROI if it gets away, and I don't get to. If I don't get to pipe it down for at least like a couple months, I'm gonna be disappointed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, people have this misconception that if you're working as a dating coach or whatever, you're living a certain kind of lifestyle, traveling around, that it's just about meeting somebody and then having a one-night stand and then you never see them again. And that's completely not the case for me, certainly. And it's not the case for Tusk either and other guys that we work with. I mean, actually, really what we're looking to do is to meet women that we really resonate with, we really have chemistry with, and we can actually spend some time with them, have some fun time with them. I was just in Istanbul recently with this girl that I met actually in Poland, and we spent a few days together, and we had a really good time, and explored the city, smoked some hookah together, did some fun things, did some fun trips. And it's just like, that's really the spice of life, isn't it? It shouldn't just be this like, I got the bag and then I never saw her again, because what's the point of that, really?
Yeah, some people are short-sighted in there. I mean, some people are just okay with that, but
yeah.
Just for me, it's not my cup of tea. I'm kind of over that point in my life now. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
because getting out there and just like, it's good to know how all this stuff works, because constantly chasing pussy is like it's really gonna lead you to like, how can I put this? It's kind of like you're gonna learn more about getting women by keeping women around you. You know,
Yes.
because so many guys, like that guy with the gym guy who can't even close
Mm.
the door. He's you said he got how many numbers? 20, 30?
He got like 20 numbers. Yeah.
And these guys are just so like to talk to women and to be like, oh, what's going on? Like, just to be around women is awkward for them, right? And this happens with a lot of these dudes, man. I know a lot of these, we call them, right, the gym cells.
Yes.
These
Yeah.
gym cell dudes, they put all their time and effort into getting jacked, and at the end of the day, they're broke and they're awful with women and they're simps, and then they're like, oh well, but at least my deltoid is great. It's like, great, but
Yeah.
like, go fuck your deltoid,
Yeah.
because it doesn't work out like that in real life. Like Jamie Foxx was talking about this the other day, right?
Mm.
It was pretty funny. He was like, good looking guys, you never see a good looking guy that's a billionaire. Why? Because he's good looking. He's already getting what he wants, right?
That's true. That's
But
true.
he says the billionaires, they're not that good looking. So what do they got to do? They got to become a billionaire, and then they
Yeah.
can get some tail. But it's more like, those girls are kind of like logically talking themselves into it. This is
Mm.
this is why I warn guys about becoming like kind of like the alpha male degenerate loser. Like, you're getting out there, you're having sex with all the chicks, you're feeling good. Every time you fuck a new girl, you have this like sense of accomplishment, right? You feel
Mm.
isn't it funny, like when you have sex with a new girl, your DNA is like, good job. Great, you did a
Mm.
great job. And you're like, I just fucked a slut, like I did nothing,
Yeah.
Like, you could get this feeling of an accomplishment. But then later down the road, like, you see some of these dudes end up in their 40s and their 50s, haven't amounted to anything. They have no investments, they have nothing good, nothing to show for it. And then they're just wished away by life in their 50s when their looks finally fade away, and they're left with nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't just focus on it. It's in itself. And I mean, I've talked, made a bunch of videos actually about this earlier in the year about the sort of the existential side of this, which actually do a lot better than the dating videos. Funnily enough, when I go more MGTOW, when I'm a bit more like, oh, sod all this dating nonsense, but people love it. And then when I talk about the dating stuff, everyone hates it. But no, there is a serious side to it, because it's like, yeah, you can't just focus on that. It's very hollow, and like you said, you get this huge sense of accomplishment. Yes, I've done something, but you haven't. What have you really done?
Mhm.
Especially if it's a girl you're never going to see again. It's
Yeah,
just totally pointless. I
but it
get
is
this real
fun.
actually sense of, if that does happen, I see somebody one time, have a one night stand, and then it's almost a bit like, did that even really happen? Like the next
Yeah,
day, it's just gone in a flash. It's just pointless.
yeah. When was the last time you had a one night stand?
Well, I mean, I never go into these things saying, right, this is going to be a one night stand. I normally just sort of
Yeah.
like, I'm just like, yeah, the girl's cool. I'll just see what she's like. I'll see if we gel. We'll see if we resonate. There was one girl I met recently, and we ended up sleeping together. And I suspect that she maybe had a boyfriend or something like that. There was definitely something going on in the background. I
Mhm.
could just get that vibe. Do you know what I
Which
mean?
which girl was this?
I was just some girl in Poland.
The train girl?
Um, No, it's a different no, it's a different one. Maybe I didn't mention it to you offline, but,
You dog.
yeah, well, But, she was really cute. She was really cute and everything. We had a good evening, but I just had this sense, I'm never gonna see this girl again, and I sent her a message, and she didn't respond afterwards, and it was like, I just had this sense, because she was making like, really late at night, she was making a call, and she was like, "Oh, I've got a meeting later," and I'm like, "What? It's 11 o'clock. Like, what are you talking about?" Um I think she had other stuff going on, and she was just, she just wanted to have a bit of fun or whatever. So, and it was great and everything. But then what are you really left with at the end of the day? It's almost like it was a dream or something. Like, it just didn't happen. Whereas if you can meet people that you actually resonate with, and you have like some sort of relationship with, some kind of back and forth, you can go and spend some time with them. That's, for me, is much preferable to it. Really, I'm always looking for that. I'm not looking for just these like fleeting one night things.
Mhm, 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 mhm. But you can get a bunch of them in the Edge program.
Exactly. But if you do want meaningless sex,
You
then
do want meaningless sex.
yeah. No, I mean, look, I mean, the
Come
point
on
is,
down.
you can, of course, yes. I mean, we talk a lot about dark triad in this course. I mean, it's not a dark triad course per se, but that side of things. So, psychopathy, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and also you can add sadism in there as well. Some people like to talk about that also. Those bad boy traits. Why are they so attractive? Why are women so compelled by that stuff? Etc. Etc. It's all fascinating stuff. I think guys really like to talk about it. I find it really interesting. So we do talk about that. It's not exclusively about that, but that's quite a big component of it. But the thing is, look, I don't know about you, but for me, even when I've got into a long-term relationship with a woman, usually it starts. You've got to spark the attraction at the beginning, right? This whole, we all know this. It's old hat, but there are guys out there who are still clueless about this stuff. You can't go in, even if you want to marry her, you want a long-term relationship with her. You can't go in with that vibe. You've got to spark attraction first. You can't go in and like, oh, I'll be friends with her for 6 months and then I'll, slowly move up to hand holding. You've got to go in there and make her attract, or you can't make anyone attracted to her. You've got to light that spark, right? Create that attraction as best you can. And then after that, then you can move more into boyfriend mode. But you've got to get in the right order. And this stuff in the Edge is going to help you to do that because it's the X factor that you need in order to ignite the spark at the beginning.
I like it. Let's talk about
Ghostmaker says, who are the best sluts? It's quite an
Richard
open
Cooper.
question, really, isn't it? I don't know, really. I mean,
Richard Cooper for money.
Exactly.
I
don't know.
Let's talk about Edge. Let's talk about Edge. What is your Edge? What do you think your Edge is? Because you're a little bit more reserved online, but you're much more of an animal in real life.
Yeah, well, I'm playing the role of the sophisticated English gentleman a bit online, which is less of the case. Yeah, which is less of the case in real life. I mean, I think that, and people may or may not believe this, but I think I can bring a sort of sense of sexual energy, sexual interaction, subtext into an interaction. Okay, and I think that, coupled with being quite persistent, is mainly why I've had some success in this area. I don't think it's necessarily because of my like amazing game or anything like that. I think it's basically like when you go into the interaction, are you sub-communicating? How's your eye contact? How's your touch? Are you is she aware that underneath this conversation there's this man-woman aspect to it? All right. Yeah. And I think a lot of guys, they go in and they have nice conversations, but they're not doing that. And I think that's why they're failing. Okay. So I think that's the Edge that I'm talking about for me. And it's not, it doesn't have to be this huge exaggerated thing. I'm not going around wearing a biker jacket and, covered in tattoos or anything, although tattoos are also good. But it can be quite subtle. It can be on the down low, right? But
sorry, go ahead.
So you have accepted the truth.
All right, that's perfect timing. Okay, but no, look, going back to that real quick, right? With the whole Edge thing, I went on a date with a chick, right? And I found out later, I saw like she was like, texting to one of her friends about me, and this was in the beginning when we both started dating. So she like was on a date with some other dude because all girls are sluts, and she was saying like, oh, with this guy, when I went out with him, like I didn't feel the sexual tension or anything on the date, but she's like, with Jonathan, I felt it as soon as I sat down. I was like, that's right, bitch. And then I fucked her in my shower.
Oh yeah.
It was on that night. And when they feel the Edge, when they feel that sexual, like you have to be okay with being sexual. And I'm not saying like reach across the table and grab her tits, but what I am saying is like, you have to let them know that like you're there. You're there as a man looking for a woman.
Yes.
Like it's okay to convey your sexual interests.
Yes.
And she was so turned on that like, my routine is I take him to a bar right by my place. And then I say, you want to come see my dog? You want to meet my puppy, Happy?
Yeah.
And then they're always like, yeah, oh my God. And then I bring him back. And then my dog is like my dog loves everybody. So she's like really really excited. She's getting this, we're having some alcohol. I'm sexy. So she's having a little alcohol. I'm sexy. I'm turning her on. She comes over. The puppy's cute. She gets flooded with emotions. She feels safe. She doesn't feel that kind of like a maternal happiness usually because the little dogs. She's like, oh my God, this dog is so cute, And then we'll usually go for the kiss on the couch. So I was kissing her on the sofa and she was turned on. And then I was just like, I started to undress her. And then she was like, I'm on my period. I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, just go in my shower and like, I'll meet you there in like, 5 minutes. And she went in there and I joined her in the shower. Bang, bang, bang. When you have that edge, and you turn them on, they'll say yes to almost anything.
Yeah, I think that's what it's about, really. I think it's about bringing sexual energy into the interaction from the first approach, actually, but certainly on the date, definitely on the date, And a lot of it is very subtle, like you said. It's not about grabbing her, breasts or anything like that, or doing anything crude, but it's about the subcommunication. And I feel like a lot of guys don't have that. People have different ways of expressing it. I mean, obviously Tusk has his own way of expressing it, but like we always talk about this guy we worked with who's based, I think, somewhere in Scandinavia, one of the Scandinavian countries, but he's an Australian guy. And again, not like hugely, not jacked, he's slim, but not jacked or anything like that. Not male model like good looks or anything, not hugely tall, but he's got this real energy to him. And a lot of it is eye contact, to be honest. He's got this very, very strong eye contact. And it's not even what he's saying is that impressive to the girls, but the girls can just feel, they can just feel this sexual undertone. And needless to say, he gets a lot of very good results. So it's really about, okay, so how do I harness this energy? And particularly for guys who are stereotypical, like nice guys, or there may be, that like let's be honest about this. Most of the guys I know who are very successful in this field, they're kind of dirty dogs a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
What do you mean by dirty dogs? Let's talk about that, because
I mean, unfortunately, we are in this situation where the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the guys who've had more sexual experience, and that kind of shines through. Those guys then tend to attract more women to them, and it's probably to do with pre-selection as much as anything else. And also, she's going to be confident that you kind of know what you're doing.
Sexually,
yes, yeah. But when I think about guys not necessarily connected with this field or making YouTube videos or anything like that, but guys who've been very successful with this stuff, they tend to be fairly sort of like they've had a lot of sexual experiences and they're not hung up about sex or sexuality, right? They know what they're doing, basically. Yeah. And if you can subcommunicate that, then that's going to put you in a very good position. The problem is if you're the guy who's maybe you're a virgin or you've only had one girlfriend or something like that, how do you harness that same energy? And there has to be an element of fake it till you make it, I think, at the beginning. Because women want a guy. It's weird because guys stereotypically want a girl who's a virgin or who's had few partners for the most part. Whereas women, actually, they're not necessarily going to say it, but they want a guy who's experienced. They want a guy who knows what he's doing in the bedroom. They want a guy who's, who has had other women. Okay, this is, listening to a podcast earlier with Chris Williamson, and they were talking about Leonardo DiCaprio. And I mean, obviously he's going to be attractive, whatever. But I mean, one of the things that must add to his allure a bit is the fact that these women all know that he's had this long string of sub 25 women as his ex-girlfriends, right? And there's an element of like, well, he must be doing something right, So, are you subcommunicating that when you go into an approach or when you go on a date? If you're not, then that is potentially a problem.
Let's go back to Edge. This might be a conspiracy theory question, but you tell me. Does Ryan Stone have Edge?
Absolutely, of course. How can anyone on Rule Zero not have Edge?
No, come on, be honest. Do you think he has Edge?
I don't know, really. I think he probably had it. He must have had it. He was. Well, I mean, look, yes, he has actually. He's a nice guy, but he doesn't suffer fools gladly online, does he? Do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I think he's got Edge, and I think, in the past.
Oh, go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. Sorry.
Because he's obviously in a relationship and he's doing his thing, but I think back in the past, in his Navy days, in the F-file days, you know, he had to have some edge because, you know, you're stopping off in the port and you're going into town, you're meeting the ladies, and you've only got a brief period of time to turn something around. I think you need to have edge in order to get through that. So yeah, I mean, you know, 100%, man. But don't you think? I mean, I suppose anybody really who's online, who puts themselves out online and has some sort of following, and let's face it, Ryan's got his super fans. There's got to be an element of like narcissism there, which is a form of edge, isn't it? In a way.
Well, I would say a great example of somebody who has edge is Aaron Clary.
True.
You know,
that's true.
He's very in your face. He's very outspoken. You know, the edge is the guy who doesn't fit in line. He doesn't walk in line.
True.
You know what I mean?
No, that's true. That's true. Well, I mean, you know, there's a lot of talk about Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate and all that, and
they have edge.
They have edge. They definitely have edge, and they had edge before. This is what I was coming to say, because people will be like, "Yeah, well, you know, they're rich and they've got these cars, and that, you know, before the big cancelling, you know, they had big Instagram and all that." But it was like they had edge before, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, when I met Andrew a few years ago in London, and he was still they were pretty loaded then, but they weren't anything like where they are now. But even before that, you know, you can imagine when he was living in Luton, you see like old videos of him and stuff. They still had edge. You know, so the money and everything else helps. Yes, the status helps, but ultimately, it's like, do you have that thing or not? And I think they always had it. You know, it's I mean, obviously, you know, you've got it. A lot of people we know in this space have it, and unfortunately, a lot of guys, and this is not said with any disrespect at all, but guys who sometimes come to train, they kind of just don't, because I think they're too conditioned to be nice guys. They're too conditioned to toe the line in society. It's like you said, it's like, are you somebody who toes the line or are you somebody who doesn't? And if you're somebody who toes the line, then that's a problem in terms of dating, because you're not standing out, you're not creating friction around you, and it's friction that causes attraction.
That's anti-edge.
Exactly.
Towing the line is anti-edge. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So yeah, mate. No, I just think, okay, let's do a little bit more. What do you think James Tusk edge is?
Drugs. Well, I mean, so Myron has edge. Yeah, I would agree. I tell you what, I think Fresh has edge. I think Fresh definitely has edge. And it's kind of funny actually, because you know, like he can sometimes on the show he can come across as being like, you know, he's kind of the calmer one, he's kind of a nice guy and stuff like that, but he's definitely got edge in real life for sure. I think the thing with Tusk, it's a bit like the Tates, you know, the criticism that gets leveled at Tusk is like, yeah, well, he's good looking, so, you know, whatever. Yeah, you know, but it's not just that, is it? It's definitely not just that. You know, he's got this real look in his eye, you know, and he told me this story one time of when he was in Russia last year, and this is as much as something that underlines sexual, people who are having sex get more sex. But he'd had sex with a girl, and then he went on a date with somebody else, like later the same day, and he went to the bar with her, and he's sitting next to her in the bar, and he's just consumed by that. Well, probably alcohol and drugs, but also he's consumed by that sort of huge dopamine that whatever it is that you've got when you've had sex with somebody. And he's looking at the girl, and the girl's then obviously went home and had sex with him as well. She said afterwards, the way you were looking at me, it was like fire, you know? And it's that look in the eye, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I recognized that about him when I first met him. I mean, he's definitely got that. It's not just about looks, and it's not just about build, and it's not even just about, not that, you know, I mean, in your eyes, he's a pauper, but it's not about whatever financial success he has or anything like that. It's not, or lifestyle, which is very small compared to you. But it's not about that stuff. It's about when he looks at a woman, she knows what the deal is. It's she knows what the deal is, doesn't she? It's that man to woman thing that he can bring to the interactions. I think that's the key thing with him.
Yeah. No, I call it the X factor, but yeah, it is. Like some guys just have that spark. And so let's talk about that, right? You're talking about the edge. Can somebody really learn edge? Can you really develop an edge in someone?
I think you can. I mean, obviously I'm going to say that because we're selling the product, right? But I mean, did I have edge when I was younger? I think I probably did in a way, because think I was, although I was very introverted and shy, and I wasn't particularly socially effective, I think that I was always somebody who I was quite defiant. You know, I always had a bit of a sense of FU about me, even as a kid. And I think that contributes to edge. So I think I had it in some shape or form. I think what then happened, but then because I was very shy, introverted, I had low self-esteem and all of these different things, I sort of suppressed it because I was just trying to survive. So, and I thought that to survive, you had to be just nice to people so they'd leave you alone. So I think I did that for a period of time. Then I went to university and I landed up in Manchester and I started taking a boatload of drugs and alcohol. And I threw all my inhibitions away. And I started to behave in a very crass sort of manner. You know, I started to become quite cocky, quite arrogant. I started to dress in a more flamboyant manner. You know, I went completely off the scale for a little while, like much more than I am now. And I thought, I'm just going to get my head kicked in, or people are going to hate me, or whatever. But actually, what happened was it was quite polarizing. Like, some people did hate me, and I did get into some scrapes. But equally, suddenly, for the first time, girls were starting to be attracted to me. You know, like, whereas before I would get friend zoned or I just get overlooked or whatever, all of a sudden women were attracted to me. And that's how I ended up first, like, getting with a girl, because of that shift in attitude. It wasn't because I became better looking or got jacked or got a six pack or anything. It was because of the way that I was behaving that changed. So did I learn edge? I don't know if I learned it exactly, but I certainly had what was latent in me brought out by the process of taking a load of intoxicants. Now, we don't recommend that, of course. Nobody on this show recommends taking a boatload of drugs. So what we offer instead is the edge, which helps you through the process, but in a more cerebral way.
I will say this: I think every man is born with edge, and I think society beats it out of them. But I really want to say the rainbow F word, the 3-letter version with the S at the end. Society really F's them up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really pussifies them. It really it gets them to the point that they can't even speak freely on YouTube. God damn it!
Yeah, no, you're right. And this is actually, were you there? We were having this conversation. I was talking to James about this recently, right? Because when we were in Warsaw a couple of months ago, me and James were in a shisha bar. And next to us, on the table next to us, there was 2 Ukrainian girls, really, really hot Ukrainian girls. And they were on a date with these 2 guys. And the two guys were like these 2 Ukrainian dudes. And they were just typical sort of, they were wearing Adidas, you know, they were kind of like just sitting there and just sort of like laid back and everything. But they had edge. I mean, they weren't anything much to look at. They weren't like brilliantly handsome or anything like that. But they were with 2 of the hottest girls in the venue. And they were just sitting back. They didn't give a damn. They were just like, yeah, whatever, you know, hardly even talking very much. And it's like, it seems like in some of these cultures, you know, these Eastern European cultures, and probably other parts of the world as well, the guys naturally have edge because they're not socialized in the same way as we are in the edge.
In the West.
You know, like in Russia and Ukraine and Eastern Europe, the guys are very masculine and they're very macho and there's a lot of machismo. And, you know, they're not doing flamboyant conversation. They're not, you know, sort of like, I don't know, that, and they're certainly not bothered about like woke culture or being politically correct or anything like that. They're just like, yeah, you know, they're very sort of entitled as well, because they're actually surrounded. They're actually surrounded by a lot of very beautiful women, and places like Russia and I think Ukraine as well. There's actually more women than men, so you get this, you know, black pill destroying sort of relationships. So you get quite ugly guys, and older and fairly ugly guys with very beautiful younger women.
It's like that in Japan too. Like these guys are complete dweebs. You know what I mean? Like absolute fucking dorks. And you see some of these skinniest little weaselly looking dorks with some chicks that are just like ultra hotties, man. Ultra beautiful babes.
Yeah.
And it's just because, I mean, one, Japanese men are like gorilla pimps, bro. They are like legit, like ruthless with their beauty standards here. And the way they like treat women in this country, and it's like not that like bad, like they don't like demean them or beat them up or anything like that, but what they do is like they really just demand absolute beauty and perfection from them. And if you come here, you'll just see it's like absolutely evident that it's working.
Yeah. Well, for sure. And I mean, it's the same, I think, in Eastern Europe as well. And it's kind of, But just the way that the guys act, right? They sort of have that edge naturally because they're not conditioned in the way that we are in the West.
Yeah.
You know, they're not made to act in a certain way. They're very masculine in the way that they act.
They don't pussify them. Like, and I think
Yeah.
this is why everybody out there, you know, for all you trailer hillbillies out there, it's absolutely imperative that you get yourself one of these. A fucking passport. This is expired one. I can't find my new one. It's somewhere on my desk here. But you know, you got to get it. I got the passport with the extra pages on it too, Troy.
Nice. Well,
Bogota,
I mean,
here I come next year.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah, well, you need that because actually mine's running out of pages now, which is a bit of a problem because there's some places, as you know, I mean, Turkey, you need blank pages, don't need to get in.
Oh,
So
dude, they had to give me like look at this. They had to give me like this special, crazy, like super ink stamped visa in Turkey. Let me show you this thing. Look at this. Did they give you something like that?
No, because we don't need a visa. UK doesn't need a visa to go through. So.
Yeah, they had like this big like ink stamp. They're like boom, boom. And he like held it for like a minute.
On a segue from this, I flew out of Istanbul Airport. Did you fly out of Istanbul Airport or the other one?
Istanbul.
It's super fancy, isn't it?
Yeah, they got like the Louis Vuitton and all that nice stuff. And I was like, look at this. Like it's like third world kind of shithole outside most places, but then like they have like the most beautiful state of the art looking airport, and I was blown away.
It was amazing. Like all the number of designer stores in there, and you know, I went in the lounge, and the lounge was amazing. It's great. It's a really good airport. I was quite surprised. The other airport they've got is rubbish, but that one is really good.
Yeah. It's just like a guy on the back of a camel, like, come on in.
Yeah, well, it's not like in Midnight Express, you know, like when you watch the movie, because the airport then was kind of a shack, really. But no, it's super fancy now. It's how I imagine airports will be in the UAE, which I haven't been to yet, and I'm not.
Hot Dude Con Dubai, it's coming.
Well, indeed.
Let's do it. We're getting haram up in this hoe.
Yeah.
So this thing is open until Sunday.
It's open until Sunday, yes.
And if a guy wants to learn how to get edge so he can walk up to a girl, she can feel his sexual presence, and she'll want to sleep with him, that's what they can get here.
Exactly. Reclaim your masculinity and change your dating from the social to the sexual.
Ghostmaker says, I have to learn how to travel alone and fly over the ocean. That's right, you gigantic pussy.
Yeah. You get used to it.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, it's good stuff. All right, bros. Well, that's going to do it for us. The link is in the chat, or in the link in the description box. So just click on the link, sign up there, and we'll catch you next time.